Hello, welcome. My name is SlugMTG, and today I'm going to be talking about a commander that I think is criminally underrated. You already know who it is. I mean, you saw the thumbnail, title, and intro. It's Kagemaro, First to Suffer. For 3 black, you get a legendary creature, Demon Spirit. Kagemaro's power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards in your hand, and you may pay a single black mana and sacrifice Kagemaro to have all creatures get -X until end of turn, where X is the number of cards in your hand. You know how many decks he has on EDH Rec? 21. That's it. He's so underbuilt, I don't get it. So where would I take a deck revolving around Kagemaro? I think the only real way you can is by mono black control. Having an instant speed board wipe as long as Kagemaro is on the field can be terrifying to deal with. Just that alone will prevent our opponents from playing creatures they don't want removed, dragging out the game until we can land our win conditions. Speaking of which, since we are taking a more controlling route, I think Exsanguinate and Torment of Hailfire will be perfect. By the time we want to end the game, we should be able to land 1 or 2 mana doublers and just go massive. Not to mention our opponents probably won't be at full life since we can point their attacks at someone else who isn't threatening to wipe away all their creatures they hold dear. Or another option is mono black Super Friends. Since we don't want creatures on the battlefield anyway, there's nothing to attack our planeswalkers. I'll just be saying mono black control for the rest of the video, but either of these strategies can fit underneath that umbrella. Just a little side note, I know this whole video is about how Kagemaro should receive more play, but I feel like I have to mention how mean he is. If your playgroup can't handle someone wiping the field over and over again, this may not be the commander for you. However, if you feel like your playgroup can handle something like this, you're golden. Let's take a look at why Kagemaro has fallen behind and see if his low deck numbers really are because he's unplayable. Mono black control is a decently popular archetype that has been around for a very long time. There are several variants ranging from anti-life gain decks with Erebos to vehicle tribal with King Makar, so there is a lot of competition. Hirobi is another decently popular commander that does a very good job at dealing with creatures, but I think the most obvious competitor is Massacre Girl. They both cost the same to put out, both want to wipe the field, but the biggest difference is that Massacre Girl doesn't kill herself doing it. So, why would you ever pick Kagemaro? I think Kagemaro is a bit more consistent, as you need something with 1 toughness for Massacre Girl, and if you don't have that, you don't have a field wipe. Plus, the fact that you can control it a bit better and not just have something die and hopefully things stack together the way you want would lead me to pick Kagemaro over Massacre Girl, but that's highly subjective and they are both very close to each other. I mean, power-wise, not deck number-wise. The fact that Kagemaro does cost 5 to put out can be a bit of an issue, but he's a board wipe, and there has to be a board 2 wipe, and unless you're playing CEDH, turn 4 to 6 when you'll be casting Kagemaro is about the optimal time to start clearing the battlefield. There are 2 main weaknesses that I see that would really prevent Kagemaro from being a go-to commander. The first is that he requires a full hand to be that big looming threat, but he doesn't net you any card draw himself. You're stuck on your own to make that happen, which can lead to some really bad games. The second is his high CMC, and the fact that he kills himself, leading to an even higher CMC with all that commander's tax. Both of these are very legitimate problems and something that we have to keep in mind when building a deck. That being said, I don't see why that would keep Kagemaro from being a part of the spotlight, as there are plenty of other mono black commanders that are way more popular who cost so much more to put down, and others that have more moving parts. So how do we overcome these weaknesses? The first one is pretty easy: more card draw. Card draw is something that every deck wants to have, normally taking the place of cards that would work well with some other commander's game plan, but card draw does 2 things for us. It gives us more resources and makes Kagemaro that much scarier. So, I don't know if I would consider having to put more card draw in a control deck to be that much of a weakness. We're greatly incentivized to then run cards that give us unlimited hand size, so you might want to put a couple of cards like that in here, but I wouldn't worry about it too much since giving everything -7/-7 is normally enough. The second problem is a little trickier, but we can overcome that as well. I believe Graveyard Recursion is going to be our other best friend. Sacking Kagemaro to the graveyard and then returning it to the battlefield not only gets around the commander's tags, but prevents it from going up in the first place. We even want effects that return cards to our hand, since that's not only going to let us cast Kagemaro for 5 again, but increase our hand size as well. Thankfully, black is one of the best colors for card draw and the absolute best color for graveyard recursion, so I don't think there's much to worry about. Alright, enough about the weaknesses. Let's talk about the strengths. I feel like Kagemaro is strongest when he's just sitting on the board, watching. All you have to do is keep that one black mana open, and your opponents have to consider an instant speed board wipe when playing anything. It's going to mean your opponents aren't going to play their more valuable creatures until Kagemaro is gone, slowing them down, and it's also going to limit their window to strike back, as Kagemaro will return. This is exactly what a control deck wants to do, giving you more time to set everything up. Kagemaro is a creature that forces your opponents to answer it, unless they're playing a creatureless deck that doesn't revolve around their commander, in which case good luck, but that's extremely rare and 9 times out of 10 a non-issue. Another reason to run Kagemaro is the fact that he is a board wipe, meaning you don't have to run as many since you're guaranteed to see at least one every game. This can open up a couple more card slots for other things, most likely card draw, which I will gladly run more of. You're also in black, the best color for tutoring, so even if you're not drawing into the one card you're looking for, you should be able to grab it pretty easily. So what would a deck for Kagemaro look like? I'm not going to be building one right now, as deck techs are outdated the second a new set comes out, so instead I'll be talking about what people should prioritize. I would first choose between the Exsanguinate Torment of Hailfire strategy and Super Friends, since those are the two directions I personally would go. Put in those win conditions, and then start filling the deck with card draw. The last thing you want is an empty hand. After that, ramp should be the next priority. You need to land Kagemaro consistently, and we're going to want a lot of mana available to us in either strategy anyway. Graveyard recursion is a must as well, but once you have that, I feel like the deck can be pretty flexible and customized to your meta. You are a control deck, so find the answers you need to keep your friends from having fun. And then fill the last few slots with some good synergy cards you like. I think Kagemaro has a lot going for him, and I'm surprised every time I look at his low deck numbers on EDHREC. No one is talking about him, and I don't really see why. Hopefully I've at least convinced some of you to at least consider having him as a commander. Kagemaro does have some glaring weaknesses, but I don't think those weaknesses are any more severe than the faults of any other commander. But I guess that's why I would consider him underrated. Thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to watch my video. I really do appreciate it. I love talking about underrated commanders and bringing something normally not seen to the surface, so expect more videos like this in the future. I would love to hear your feedback or any other commander you think I should cover in the comments below. But now, if you'll excuse me, I'm about to wipe the board for the 13th time this match. Bye!